After the results of the US election, Bitcoin created a new all-time high yesterday and we saw the highest daily candle close ever for Bitcoin in the history, so this is looking very bullish. In today's video I'm going to tell you exactly what we can expect for Bitcoin in the coming days and how you can prepare for the next move. Today we also have the FOMC meeting by the Federal Reserve, so this is also a very volatile event. We also have a lot of interesting data for the Ethereum and the Bitcoin ETFs, but about that later in the video. I will also have a look at the two altcoins, Ethereum and Injective. So you want to watch this video all the way to the end, don't forget to slap up that like button and let's dive right into the charts. Since the beginning of March of this year, I've been talking about this huge horizontal level structure for Bitcoin with you, and we saw these horizontal levels coming into play and they acted as resistance and support. And we saw every time we came to the certain level, we saw a little bit of rejection or support coming into the market, and this was looking very beautiful. And these horizontal lines were respected perfectly. So yesterday Bitcoin saw its highest daily close candle ever, and we are now officially in price discovery zone because the price of Bitcoin has never been here. And now we can see that Bitcoin is creating an all-time high and there's no historic price action, so Bitcoin is now free to trade and we can just aim for higher targets. And of course this previous resistance hasn't been tested as support, and this previous resistance is confluent with the previous all-time high, so we could potentially also see a little bit of a throwback to retest this resistance as support, and from there we can just continue the uptrend to the top side, and this of course will be very bullish. And as we can see on this chart where Bitcoin is in this huge uptrend, we can see that Bitcoin created a new higher high, and this is looking very bullish. So we can now see that Bitcoin created a new high, and we can now see that Bitcoin is continuing the bullish uptrend to the top side. So we could potentially see a little bit of a throwback to create a higher low. From there we can create a higher high, and so on and so on. And this of course will bring us to new all-time highs. So for now Bitcoin created this newer high and we gained the previous high, which was very bullish. So keep in mind that we could also see a little bit of a retracement, and from there we can just continue the bullish momentum for Bitcoin. And yesterday we saw a very volatile day for Bitcoin, and this was all because a lot of volume came into the Bitcoin ETFs, and in total we saw almost $622 million of inflow. And the weird thing about yesterday was that BlackRock was selling their portion, and we can see that Fidelity, Bitwise and the ARK Bitcoin ETF were buying like crazy, and also the Grayscale ETF, and even the highest commission Grayscale ETF was also buying. So this is insane of course. And now we are coming back above the $24 billion in total of inflow, and this is very bullish. And now we can see another spike to the top side, so let's see if Bitcoin can continue the bullish uptrend and come to this $25 billion mark. And this of course will also have a very bullish effect on the price of Bitcoin. So this week still has 2 trading days left, so let's see what these 2 days can do for the Bitcoin ETFs. And I also discussed this huge horizontal resistance lines with you in the past, and we can see every time these highs were gained, we saw a perfect retest and we made a bullish retest to the top side. So now we are creating an all-time high, and this previous all-time high hasn't been retested as support. So there's a scenario that we could see a retest of this resistance area to turn it into support, and from there we can see a bullish retest and aim for higher targets, and this of course will be very healthy price action. So if the price of Bitcoin comes back to this previous resistance to turn it into support around the $73,000, you don't panic, because from there you can just enter the market in a long or just spot buy order, because this is a very good higher low play, and from there we can aim for higher targets. And at this 73,000 level I'm going to place my orders for Bitcoin for the long term. So we now gained above these huge resistance areas, so this is looking very bullish for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is still in this huge uptrend, so I think we will just see a continuation of the bullish momentum. And I was also discussing this huge broadening wedge with you on the daily time frame. We saw multiple touch points as resistance on the higher side, and also on the lower side we saw multiple touch points as support. We finally broke out, and then we saw a bit of a bullish retest. Of course we saw a little bit of a fake out again, but then we saw a beautiful pump to the top side, and now we are creating all-time high after all-time high. So this is looking very bullish, and now we can see separate ourselves from this huge support area. And if we're going to see a continuation of the trend, I think we will see levels around the 100,000 very soon, and this could all happen before the end of year. And let me know in the comments what your end of year price prediction is for Bitcoin. Are we going to reach the $100,000 before the end of 2024, or do we see it in 2025? And later today, we also have the FOMC meeting coming into the market by the Federal Reserve. And we can see an almost a 100% of chance that we're going to see a 25 basis point rate cut. And this is, of course, will create more liquidity into the market, which will only pump up the price of assets even more. So over time, we will see a lot of rate cuts happening in the coming months. And this will only have a bullish effect on the prices of assets because more liquidity means higher pumps. And that, of course, will also pump up the price of Bitcoin and altcoins. So I think if we're going to see a rate cut later today, this will be a volatile event. And don't panic if we're going to see a huge spike to the top side or to the downside. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And zooming all the way out to the monthly time frame, we can see that every cycle Bitcoin reached this previous all-time high. Then we saw a beautiful gain to the top side, and it's repeated every cycle. So currently we are grinding above the previous all-time high, and we are seeing a little bit of a break already. So let's see if Bitcoin can separate itself from this huge resistance area and see a spike to the top side. And if we're going to see a similar move like in the previous cycle, then we will see levels around $300,000. So this could be almost a 300% increase, and this will bring us to insane levels. So let's see if Bitcoin can see a separation of this huge resistance area and bump up the price even more. And if we're going to repeat the last cycles, then we will just see exponential move for Bitcoin in the coming months. And the first interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Ethereum. We can see Ethereum is breaking above this huge resistance area. And this resistance area had a lot of price interactions in the past. So we're now breaking above it. So we have to paint this area in green because we can now probably turn it into support again. And from there we can just continue the uptrend to the top side. And now we can see this next big resistance around the $2,900 was my first resistance target. And I also took a little bit of profit yesterday. And overnight my order got reached, so I sold a little bit of my portion after buying at these lows. And of course, if we are going a little bit lower, I'm going to buy again, and from there we can just aim for higher targets again. And yesterday the Ethereum ETFs had one of its best days ever. We saw a total inflow of $52.3 million, and this was because the Grayscale and the Fidelity Ethereum ETF were buying. So this was having a little bit of a bullish effect on the price of Ethereum. And we can also see that Ethereum is now breaking out of this huge formation on the daily time frame. We saw multiple touch points on the lower side as support, and this indicated a little bit of an uptrend. And of course there is a huge resistance area unfolding. So we're now breaking above it, but of course we want to see a daily candle close above this area to confirm the breakout. Because if we're going to close the daily level below this resistance area, we could come a little bit back down, and then we could also, of course, also come back down to this huge support area on the lower side. But for now, we all hope that, of course, that we are going to break out, retest this previous resistance as support, and then we can aim for higher targets. And the first big resistance will be the $2,900, and it will be around this level. So from this huge support area, if we're going to retest it, you can enter the market in the long, and then we can aim for higher targets for Ethereum. And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Injective. We can see Injective was in this falling wedge formation, and we saw a bullish break for Injective. Then we saw a bullish retest. We came back, we retested this previous resistance as support. Then we saw a bullish retest, but then we came back twice, and now we are seeing that this resistance area is holding strong as support. And of course we are also seeing a bounce to the top side. And as I'm always saying, on bullish retest you can enter the market in the long. And if you traded these retests, you could have made a lot of profit, of course. So congratulations if you took this trade together with me. And the last trade was insane because we saw a bullish retest and then a 32% increase. So congratulations if you took this trade together with me. And for now, we can see a little bit of a resistance area coming into the market. Because this resistance area is now coming into play, and we can see a lot of touch points in the past as resistance and support. So every time we come to the resistance area, we could see a little bit of a rejection, as we can see here. So let's see if Injective can come back to this resistance, finally break it to the top side, and then we can continue the bullish momentum to the top side, and then we can also see a little bit of a trend reversal for Injective. And if we're going to break above this resistance area, then the next big resistance will be the top side of the falling wedge formation, which is also confluent with the breakout target of the falling wedge. And that will be around the $32. So please give a like if you think the video was useful. Don't forget to follow me on my other socials, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.